I love that song.
I love the explosion at the end.
Because that song means fun's about to start. Hello, everybody. Welcome back for the second night in a row. Literally Wasted is here.
I know.
Unless you missed last night, which stinks for you because it was a good time.
It was so much fun. But now we have an official song to sing, don't we?
Too much fun.
Hi, Giggles and Tammy, Kristen and Sean, Julie, Spare, Nicole, Ashley. Hi, Jennifer, Philip, and Cindy, and Judy, and Ed, Kent, Rachel, Lisa. Hi, Brandy and Carrie, and Deirdre, and Jeff, and Donna, and Martin, and Rebecca. Hi, Sean, and Kelly, and Willa, and that's it.
Oh no.
And hi to you, Jan.
And Jan.
I did it so fast. Oh, hi, Bethany.
I'm gonna put that on the group.
Yup. That was to Brandy.
Oh no.
Perhaps I put this shirt on last night, and then perhaps it's a song by Cake. It's a good song.
So, welcome. This is
Brandon,
our official live discussion. The second live discussion for The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep by H.G. Parry.
Heaps of Uriah.
Heaps of Uriah.
That
sounds like
infection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So made it to the end of the book.
Yep. Same.
Let's jump right in.
Longer book.
What did y'all think of the book?
You started.
Yeah, you
already.
go.
Okay.
You
made a noise.
Well, because I finished reading it today. Okay, so I told this to Lucas earlier, and I'm glad I didn't forget. To me, I am Rob, and this book is Charlie. In that, I really love it, but also it's kind of exhausting. And I thought I loved words until I read this book and realized I just really like words. And this was written by someone who really loves words. And it's like a little bit too much for me. It's like an onslaught of word loving. But I really enjoyed it. But I was also, by the time I finished reading it, I felt like really exhausted.
Fair.
Yeah. No, I mean, unless we want to get into specifics later, but for just overall feelings, that's them. Those are my overall feelings.
I guess I'll go.
Oh wait, I did want to say it is very obvious when you get to the end and you're reading about the author and you're like, oh yes, she has a PhD in English literature, and I was like, Nadoy.
Well, that makes sense.
I think I overall enjoyed it. To me, this is, I'll kind of reiterate some of what I said last time in that for a book lover, which obviously H.G. Parry is a huge book nerd. No, I don't fault that. Just putting that out there. But it's kind of like the Lego movie or Kingdom Hearts, where you have this mashup of all these characters and you can appreciate it for what it is without knowing all the characters. But if you know all the characters, then it's that much cooler. So for me, it was that kind of like, I was skimming the top of the surface of all the undertones of some of these characters, where had I been more literarily wasted and throughout my life, I probably would have gleaned a little bit more from it. But it's not to say that I didn't enjoy it. Parts of it got a little kind of goofy. Parts of it to me were a little predictable. I don't know if y'all kind of saw through some of what was coming up, but this was her first novel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's better than my first novel. And yeah, I do. I think overall I enjoyed it. I think I liked it because stuff happened. There was just clear action throughout it. And I think maybe it was Philip said something, the end kind of felt like a Marvel movie, and I'm down for that too. So yeah, it was fun. But again, I could have gotten more out of it had I been more intimate with some of the characters that were in these Victorian era books.
I will say there was definitely some stuff in it that was not fun. for me to read, but honestly was unexpected. Like, it definitely had some parts that for me was darker than I had anticipated. But to me, that just made it a deeper book. I'm dead.
Yeah. Well, I really, really enjoyed it. I agree with a lot of you. You're saying that it was maybe a little too long. And yeah, I feel that, but I really liked it. I loved her writing style. I loved the relationships that she made, and I really liked the characters, and I just really liked it.
I really liked it too. I definitely agree that it was too long. Like, I feel like it meandered in places, and I kind of wanted to get, there was a point where I was like 80% of the way through the book, and I was like, I'm at the end. I'm at the climax. Like, I'm here. Like, there must be like a huge afterword, because like this is like the final confrontation moment, and then it just kept going. Not that I didn't like that, because there was definitely a lot of action. It was a lot of like it went from like 0 to 60 quick at the end. Like, all of a sudden reality is like in pieces, and this new world is imposing, and we're finding out all the things about Beth and all the things about like Charlie, and then Charlie's trying to save the world, and like Rob is trying to save Charlie, and there was all this, like, it was intense, and I was really into it, and so I liked it. I just felt like it could have gotten there a little faster, and it could have just been a little bit more concise. But I agree with Lucas in that, like, I would have liked to read it from the point of view of somebody who knows a little bit more about these characters, who has a little bit more of attachment to them. It's like, like, I think you already made it some sort of comparison, but if I like, it was like playing Smash Brothers, but I'd never played a Nintendo game before.
Yeah,
like it would be a fun game. I just wouldn't like. I'd just be like,
sure, you can appreciate the art for this is well produced, well written, well designed, whatever. But when you don't have some of those inside hooks, you just don't geek out over like, oh my god, it's the Artful Dodger. I kind of know a little bit about the Artful Dodger, and like you can get through the book and still enjoy it, but it's just,
I didn't know about
it's the geek out that I get it. Like, this is a super smart English professor who kind of wrote a book for book nerds.
Yeah, and this is kind of I like, I'm like Matt. Like, what?
I want Christy's been trying to say something.
No, it's fine. But I was just gonna say that even if we don't know all the characters, the way that she presented it through Rob, I think really allowed us to still understand and enjoy the story.
Yeah, I agree. She portrayed them and introduced
people. She didn't know who they were either.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
Can I talk now?
Yes. I just felt bad because Christy tried to say something while Lucas was talking, and I wanted her to get it out.
I was just saying, I agree with Matt. It's like, I had a ton of fun with it. It was just hard to get through, and I don't know why.
No, I can feel that.
I didn't have a hard time getting through it, but I also was listening to it, and the narrator was fantastic.
The narrator was good.
He was so good. And then also, like, I just found I found her writing style really charming, and I just loved like Robin and Charlie's relationship. I don't know, it really resonated with me. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, the relationship with the brothers was really well done.
And I will say, like, I know you mentioned it, like, I was the same point. It's like, oh, you get to the climax of the book, and you're like, there's still definitely 100 pages left. And I was like, okay, something else is going to happen then. But what I liked was, I feel like so often we read a book, and the climactic point is the end of the book. And then it's just like, you get this one tiny short after everything resolves, and it's just like, and then the rest of their adventure was set up this way. You don't usually get to read about the dust settling after the apocalypse, right? We usually get the apocalypse, and then we get a chapter, and then you imagine the rest. And I will say, it was really nice and different to be like, this is how they're having to deal with the semantics of the world changing. And like, they're talking about family discussions. Like, usually we don't get any of that stuff. And I thought that was nice because it was different.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And then what Philip had said about Lydia, y'all got me so excited for more Lydia for the second half of the book when we did our first live discussion, and then we didn't get any of that, and I was really disappointed also because like I just felt like she could have evolved so much.
She could have been more of a part of the story,
Yeah.
other than just being like a motivation for
victim.
Rob,
Yeah.
like a damsel in
But
distress.
she was
kind of
such a
like,
strong character. Like she knew who she was and she knew what she deserved, and I was expecting her to step up, at least in the story, and yeah, she didn't.
I mean, she smashed Dracula with a chair and she stabbed Hyde with a fork, and that was pretty
Yeah.
BA of her.
True.
But then it was just like, and she's gone.
Yeah, but Ashley has a really good point. Her patience level is insane. Like, I don't know how her and Rob are still together because, like, I really feel like he just kind of betrayed her over and over and over again.
I'm not even sure why anybody's with Rob, really. I mean, Rob he's an all right. Like, he just, I don't know. Like, there were some people saying that Rob kind of sucked, and I think that he did kind of suck, but like, he kind of redeemed himself in the end, just with his like, you know, his realizations about how he feels about Charlie. And like, I will say, like, I was legitimately sad, like reading about that whole story about Charlie getting beat up and Rob just like walking away. And like, and then when he H.G. Parry reprised that as like Rob was walking out and like used the same exact words about like, I was walking away, but I wanted to turn back and I didn't, or something like that. I was like,
Yeah.
like that was the whole brother thing. That was really nice.
But to me, that just made Rob more human. Like, I don't want to say that he sucks. I want to say that, I mean, he was not perfect, but no one is. But also, I can't imagine what it would have been like growing up in that situation, you know? Like, I don't know. I will say the Diary Charlie hurt.
Diary Charlie and Diary Rob. That's through like Charlie's eyes, like Rob being like this supermodel.
No, 12-year-old Diary Charlie. That hurt me real bad.
Day of the incident, Charlie.
Oh,
that one was
painful. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to get that kind of like those kind of feels in the midst of like a Marvel battle, which was good.
That was mean. Although I do want to point out that I was totally right about Beth being a super suspicious lady who stole the diaries.
He was sus.
That sussy old lady stealing diaries.
I did not predict that she was Moriarty.
Oh,
that was kind of cool.
Didn't see that coming.
That was really cool. And I pictured Moriarty from Star Trek, but
of course.
But like, you know, like the ultimate villain that's like capable of beating Sherlock Holmes, that was created so that Sherlock Holmes could die. I thought that was really awesome. I was there for that when it was revealed that it was Professor Moriarty.
I'm gonna go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I really loved the Uriah Heep's role in the end. Like,
oh, that was a little bit of misdirection for me.
Yeah, well, and like I wasn't surprised that Uriah Heep came and saved the day. I was surprised when he was not there to save the day. He was there to kill everybody, basically.
I had completely forgotten he was a shapeshifter, so I was very confused for half a sentence, and then was like, "Oh yeah, oh that's so handy," and I do like it because I was like, "Oh, you know, he had melted away," and I was like, it's just one of those things where they pull something random from the book and that's the title. But he really was quite prominent from beginning to end. And then the other version of him is just out in the world somewhere, like
escaped. The unlikely escape of Uriah Heep.
Exactly, on a boat. That's the tagline. On a boat. I took a picture of this so I wouldn't forget it. When I was reading it, and I told Lucas had to, poor guy, listen to me as I read the second half of this book, which was basically every 7 minutes me going, I knew it. Or be like, but then one point it's when Rob goes to pick up Charlie. It's one of my favorite parts, honestly, of the entire book. There's so many great lines in it, but a moment that I really loved is when he goes to pick up Charlie and he's telling Beth, you know, that he's stubborn And Beth says, we're used to that here as well. And then it says, she took me by the arm, a surprisingly old-fashioned gesture. And I went, all right. And I remember I stopped and I was like, she's from the past. That's what that means. I was like,
totally missed that.
I was like, this is not the type of author who just is using filler words. I guarantee you that is supposed to be important. And then literally on the next page, Charlie is giving his lecture and he says, there are coincidences in life, not in books. Everything in a book is placed there for a reason. And I was like,
I forgot what I had read, like,
I was right.
chapters later. I don't make connections like that because when I'm reading, that's the only thing I am absorbing.
I had to keep taking mental breaks on this
Present.
one because, like I said, it was kind of exhausting.
Yes, Martin, I also want to go to New Zealand and see this
So bad.
place.
Yeah.
I did have to
I'll
pull
go
up the
visit
map.
street.
Yeah, I pulled up Google Maps to see, because I did not know that this was the capital of New Zealand, but it is.
I also took a
Well,
picture of this, but not because it's a beautiful part of the story. I just felt it was very relatable when they're about to go into the cloud and Charlie's like, it might help to think of a story. And Rob is like, I immediately forgot every story I've ever read. And I was like, oh, he's a real normal human. That's exactly what happens. To be like, oh, think of this. And be like, I don't know any. I know nothing.
Yeah,
Because
no,
you just
I
put me on
appreciated that line too.
You put me on the spot and you gave me a timer and now my brain is a blank. It's exactly what happens.
So let's talk about Charlie and their mom and how Charlie was created and what is Charlie, because that was
and
that was crazy.
Philip asked, do Charlie's origins make sense? Was it disappointing or surprising?
I don't know how to make sense of it really, because like Charlie is David Copperfield, but why? What did I miss?
So the book was, she had the book
She had
like
the book.
with her, and so like the
Oh.
doctor.
Our dog.
You have to you have to explain, Adam.
I thought he was sneezing.
I thought he was sneezing too.
No.
He's not sneezing. What
Our
happened?
dog has such bad gas tonight. I don't know why, but he keeps like bombing us with it. It's so bad.
so
And
bad.
Adam has no tolerance at all.
Yes.
But it's like, it's really bad.
It's
Turn
hot.
on the
Worse
smell
than it
vision.
usually is.
It's hot.
It's a lot. So just use
Is it one of those like dog rotten egg bombs?
times 100.
Oh,
My eyes water.
It's very strong.
Anyway, Charlie's origins.
I can't say that I expected it. I knew something was about him and I had my suspicions. I really did think that in some way he was Charles Dickens or was tied to something. Like I thought there was
Charles
something
Dickens.
there. But I didn't think too hard or try to figure out what the specifics were going to be. And so I still enjoyed the way it unfolded. It still shocked me a little bit just because I can't imagine what that. Oh, I just couldn't imagine, like what it must have been like for her to go through that. And like, I mean, yeah, if I don't know. I can't say that I fully expected it. I can't say I was really surprised. I don't think I wasn't disappointed though.
I wasn't disappointed. It was hard for me to connect the dots. Like, why? I don't understand. Like, I get that, like, Charlie is a big Dickens fan, but I never really got that about the mom. Like, yeah, she had the book, but.
Well, the reason he is such a Dickens fan, though, I feel like is because he is
that character. Yeah.
I mean, David Copperfield is based on Charles Dickens,
makes
so
sense.
he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, hit myself in the face. So in a way, he really was. He was Charles Dickens, and he was David Copperfield, and he was his mom, and he was aspects of all of these things.
I kind of expected the mom to have. I mean, that's such a heavy thing to carry with you for so many years that you buried your child beneath a tree without anyone knowing. And she seemed, I mean, she did get into it with, some of that emotional.
But she's
But
she's also been carrying emotional and mental trauma since she was 4 years old. So I think she has spent her entire life keeping huge, big secrets.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine the toll that has taken on her. But.
Yeah, she Rob mentioned that Charlie was kind of a mama's boy and like vice versa. Like he mentioned that early that like they had some sort of special attachment to him. And now we know why. But then La Mom being a summoner also like just kind of, you know, revealing that information, not only summoning Charlie, but then coming in at the end and summoning a dragon.
Yeah.
Out of a kid's book. I love that.
I did love it.
Yeah.
Like that was a really cool moment for me. Like the not just having the dragon there, but the fact that it did come out of the book that she read to them as kids. Like she knew it so well that she could just make that dragon.
Well, it just shows that the way like their abilities work was very different. But also, honestly, the part that was kind of hard for me to believe is to be like, oh, well, if you know, she's a summoner and she has a son who's a summoner, like there should be all these other people. And like, this is a more common gift. But then it makes more sense to find out there aren't these other two summoners. Like there really were only these two that we know about so far apart. And their creation is just received that gift from them. It's not like there's more summoners, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is a question that I had, and people are talking about it in the comments, like why Millie and Charlie could age.
I think it's because Charlie summoned her like as a kid and summoned that into her. Like, I don't know, he was so special and he can read people so well and like understand fictional characters and they're so well rounded that I think he just made her more real and he made that part of her character.
I was gonna say, if he's the one that read that, if she knew, so the reason Charlie's growing is because his mom reread that into him, like as he has aged, then he knew that Millie never went back into the book.
But
like so maybe in his subconscious he was like, it's because she went on and she's living like a real life and she grew up like she wanted. And so he was then able to read that ability into her. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think that she like kept like aging Charlie. She was rusty when they asked her to summon later in the book. She was like, I don't know if I can still do it.
Well, but also through Rob, Charlie was summoning himself or reworking himself like in Rob's image. So if everybody around him thinks that he is aging, then he's going to make himself age.
Y'all are missing out if you're on Facebook. You're missing out on this YouTube discussion about candles that people are talking about their immense candle collection, and I want to see it. Now you got to post pictures.
Yeah, post some pictures. I do not have a candle collection.
Just so y'all know. Yeah, candles.
Yeah, I don't think I dug into the details of everything too.
I'm so sorry. Just
yeah, I don't think I dug into
your mouth a little bit.
The details or concerned myself too much with all of the summonings. I just kind of accepted it for what it was as part of the book. And
yeah, I didn't feel like it was so hard for me to believe and wrap my mind around that I needed to dissect it. I was willing, sometimes in a story you're like, that's too easy, and like you're not willing to just fall into the suspension of disbelief for a story, but for this, that wasn't the case. Like I was happy to like go along for the ride. Aww.
What's the matter, Adam?
Molly.
You have to sneeze?
That makes me sad because she lost her baby too.
Yeah.
I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole family, the whole family dynamic. Like I'm really glad that was part of the book because it added like a much welcome depth to these characters that, wasn't exactly present in a book like Ready Player One if we're making like random comparisons to things that are vaguely similar. Which this did feel like kind of like the Ready Player One of
Dickens.
book.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was a lot of fun. But some of the characters in that book were rather shallow or used for just kind of one purpose. But
Yeah, plot push.
But there was a lot of cool depth. So it was like having the best of both worlds. Like you got the Marvel movie and you got like really good character development. It's like a good Spider-Man movie, you know. But yeah, did you have something you wanted to read?
Sure. So Kira asked, if you could read out a character, who would it be?
Garfield. Who would yours be?
I don't know.
Somebody from Old Man's War. The hot green people.
I don't know. That's tough.
Edward Cullen.
Who would yours be?
I don't know.
You just completely dodged the question. You know.
I feel like
You know. You've read so many books. There's got to be
Katniss
someone
would be
you
a
wanna
cool
hang out
character.
with. Lila Bard.
Lila Bard would steal from us.
that's the thing. It's like I'm trying to think of like every character that I find really interesting. I find them really interesting from far away,
Yeah,
and I know that
like-
if they were actually in my life, they would bring complete chaos.
Martin
Yeah.
has
I
a good
don't want
one.
that. Aw.
Samwise Gamgee.
Oh,
Friend
yeah.
for life.
We'll go with you to the end.
But would he be annoying? Would he be like on your doorstep every day and you're like, dude,
No,
I
he's
just-
married and has kids now.
That's
He's
true.
busy. He has all these
Sam's-
little hobbit children running around.
Sam's good.
Put poppies up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rob is a book.
Matt, I don't think you understood the question.
Yeah,
Not
I-
who
you
do
don't
you
become
Who are you
Legolas.
choosing? Not who do you
Yeah,
want
that's
to
like
be.
Legolas
Although
is
now
hot.
we really
This is
know
just somebody you
who
get to
want
hang out with, not B.
Well, maybe Matt wants to hang out with a hot elf
Hmm.
named Legolas and shoot arrows and
I don't know. He was hot in Lord of the Rings, but after I saw him in Troy, my opinion went down.
Okay, so similarly, Katie asked, if you could sit in companionable silence and read with any literary character, who would it be?
in
Probably one of the
silence.
hot green
Yes,
people.
in
from-
companionable silence and read.
I would sit with Gandalf because I bet he could just sit really quiet and read and look really cool.
Sit
Inej,
quietly.
that's a good one.
I'd probably do. Actually, you and me are on the same
Oh,
wavelength.
why not the Darcys? You could have like
Bennett.
another
or,
Darcy.
or Matilda. Actually, I think she would be fun to just sit and read with.
I just want Gandalf because Gandalf, you're gonna get like a pipe show probably too while he reads. Like he's gonna be sitting there like making ships and stuff happen with his pipe.
I would read Lord
Go ahead.
I would read Lord Toby from Kill the Farm Boys so he could just make me bread.
Okay,
Yes.
that's actually not
that's
a bad.
good. That's a good one.
Who doesn't want a charcuterie board
I
while
wanted.
while reading?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just poof bread. Thanks.
That is a good one. That is a good one.
We got a lot of Mr. Darcy's here.
He's the only character that we've read that can summon food.
That's true. It's important. Snacks are important when you're reading.
Because Charlie could summon food, but it tasted like paper.
Yeah, true.
They have to look at their books.
I know. I'm like,
You have
Yeah.
windows.
Natalie said she'd read Charlie out so that he could read more characters out.
Oh yeah.
that's like wishing
reading-
for more
Oh.
wishes.
That is like wishing for
Yeah.
more wishes. I don't know, Natalie. That bends the rules.
It's like every character that I think is so interesting, but they do. They always like bring chaos with them, and I don't.
Yeah.
I can't read
Yep.
with chaos going around.
Yep.
Yeah, we got Crowley.
Wow.
Crowley.
Well, that's true
Crowley.
because then if anyone made noise, he would yell at them and make them be quiet.
Mr. Tumnus. That's a good one.
I have a show and tell.
Okay,
Show and
let's do
tell.
it.
So, amidst reorganizing all my books, I forgot I had this one on my shelf. And get really close. This book weighs like 10 pounds, even though it's small. And the D is for Dickens. And I forgot that I had this really cool, it does not include David Copperfield. It's just all of the Christmas stories and then Great Expectations in this really cool old binding that I found forever ago. And it's just this really neat, like, old book. It's almost 100 years old. And I totally forgot that I had it, but it has this nice, like,
Emboss.
I don't know if it's actually metal or not, like, thingy. Super cool. Anyways,
Thank you,
that's all.
Diane,
That's
for sharing.
my show and tell. I was like, ooh, I have Charles Dickens.
What in the
I have
Dickens?
complete works of Sherlock Holmes on my iPad.
I have
So that's very similar.
I have
I have-
Sherlock Holmes on the shelf right there.
Many of the complete works of Jim Davis.
Solid.
He wrote Garfield.
Yeah.
What did you have next?
So Jennifer asked, imagine sitting around with your friends and you are each a summoner. You all summon the same character. How are the versions different and the same? And her example is, if Adam, Christy, Talia, and Lucas summon the same character, what would each version look like?
Oh,
Mm.
mine would always be wearing a Ghostbusters outfit.
That's probably true.
I guess it
That's how
just
I picture
depends on the
everybody.
character.
Yeah.
But I do think we would all read them out very differently.
Yeah,
or at
I
least
think
differently.
that'd be a fun game to play, like with the whole group. It's like, what would it, pick like somebody from a book, like, because I think we all picture characters differently. I think that's like
Mhm.
it goes back to like the whole thing we were talking about last time is that like these characters exist in the world, and it's like they can because nobody knows what a book character looks like. Like even if it's described, like you're always going to have some different combination.
Well,
So like
and
if
we had the great example of the 5 Darcys. Like one of them was just like the movie.
it's Colin Firth.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't. They don't walk around like celebrities. You wouldn't be like, oh my god, it's that character from the book, because everybody pictures it differently. So they can really kind of blend in,
Yeah.
unless they're a dragon.
Even that is going to be different.
But the
Yeah,
crazy
they
thing
Star
is
Trek
they
uniforms.
do. Some of these people, like the characters in the story, know these works so well that they did recognize them right away. They're like, I know exactly who that is.
Yeah. Well, but also if it's a really well-known one or work with illustrations like Uriah Heep, because Rob was able to just Google him or look at the Wikipedia and like had an idea of what he looked like.
It's funny that you should mention Mrs. Havisham and Ghostbusters, because there's an episode of the real Ghostbusters cartoon called The Thing in Mrs. Favisham's attic.
Oh.
I think. Don't quote me on that.
No,
Yeah, Google it.
you're probably right. His
I'm always right.
Ghostbusters trivia is ridiculous.
Gotta Google it. That was a good episode. I almost made me cry.
You made me forget what I was going to say because I was so busy making fun of you in my head. What was right before that?
We were talking
Um,
about summoning people differently.
I don't know. Uriah Heep did majorly give me the creeps, though. It was the red eyes.
Yeah. Well, and what Heathcliff had fire in his eyes.
Yeah, that's...
I just couldn't get over Heathcliff because I just kept thinking of the cat.
The cat.
I did not.
I-
I was very sad Heathcliff died.
So I would have
Yeah.
summoned an orange cat with a gun blade that looks like, and a gun
It's a
blade.
knife gun.
Well, whatever it was, all I can think of when I think of Gunblade is Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, because he's got this wicked cool sword that's also a gun, and so it's Heathcliff with that sword.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Oh, that we're past
The thing
that.
we already did.
Yeah, but I was gonna
Anyway.
say, oh shoot, I forgot.
Oh no, Christy.
The farts are getting to her.
Yeah.
The brain melting farts.
Yeah, no, that is happening.
that's
Our
a
clothes,
It's
I'm
been
gonna have to
pretty
wash my
constant.
hair.
Yeah. Shoot.
It's like when you're around a campfire. Oh, he's moving. Don't be
I like how I froze. He's
he's
not
crop
here.
dusting.
Over here. Who was it? I
Oh.
think Will.
So I just remember what I was going to ask. Ha! Actually, again, what do y'all think about Dorian Gray's a very anticlimactic ending?
I don't remember.
He went
It's
off
like took
to
his-
join the other summoner,
Oh,
and then he got
yeah,
locked in a
yeah,
room
yeah.
and read out of existence.
That's right. That's right. That made me fear Moriarty even more. Like that device made me more terrified of Moriarty's capabilities. Like it was disappointing because so much had we had so much of Dorian Gray.
Mhm.
But I thought that was kind of badass at the
Yeah,
same time.
I feel like it was intentional. It was like, look, this person's so powerful that you can take these characters that were so prominent and important in the first half of the book, and they don't even get an ending. You just find out about it later and be like, they're just gone. They're no longer essential to the story. Like, ugh.
Dorian red shirt.
Also,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Dorian Gray still. Like I don't know what book is Dorian Gray from?
The picture of Dorian Gray.
Aha.
But that's on my list too. I want to read it now because of this book.
I will say, so I don't know much about it. The only thing that I do know is that I think there's actually multiple stories or versions. It's not just one book, if that makes sense.
I have no idea. I don't know anything about it.
Just from what I thought from what I've read before is that there's maybe there's just multiple interpretations of it, maybe.
I don't know.
He was the IT guy.
But
That's funny.
yeah, no, just
He was like
Gone.
Neo.
Yeah, well he was kind of like Professor X. Wasn't he like tracking all the fictional characters and like finding them like Cerebro?
Mhm.
except that you have to remember that Dorian Gray is not a good character.
Yeah. Kira's comment: the worst thing for a character, no ending.
Yeah, I kind of need to know more about this Dorian Gray character. The name sounds very familiar. Like I should know.
I mean, I know the basics, but I don't want to spoil it for you in case you read it.
I feel like we all know the basics now.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't poop.
Is it Charles Dickens wrote that?
No.
Who wrote it?
I don't know who wrote it, but it's not him.
Well, okay.
Was it Oscar Wilde? Am I making that
I think
up?
it was Shakespeare.
No, you're full of crap. Hold on.
I think he wrote it after.
Yeah, every time something
Crucible.
is old, Lucas thinks this is really funny. Anytime I bring up anything that's old, he says,
Oscar
"Oh yeah,
Wilde.
Shakespeare. Shakespeare wrote that." Okay, I was right.
It was Oscar Wilde.
Oops.
Orson Welles.
Like that time when I brought up the Crucible, and Lucas was like, "Yeah, that
It's a witch
Shakespeare play."
story.
No,
Double boil and
No.
scrubble.
It's Oscar Wilde. Okay.
Yeah, Dorian Gray. It's a short story. Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
I feel like I'm
short.
just making stuff
Yeah,
up
Kira
now.
says
It's
short.
short.
Okay.
Is it like the Mask of the Red Death kind of thing, where it's just like a cautionary tale? I don't know.
So here's my question for the club. Having read this book, besides Dorian Gray, I guess, what did this make you want to read?
The Scarlet Pimpernel. Sorry.
Mm.
I was thinking about that one
You
a
know
lot.
what it made me want to read was
Matilda.
no
Ready Player 2.
We have that one. As well.
No, it actually made me want to read the Count of Monte Cristo
Oh.
because I think I have read it maybe, but I love that's Alexander Dumas, right? I think maybe I don't know. Yeah, when they were tunneling, I like the Count of Monte Cristo.
Oliver Twist, Matilda. It made me not want to read any Dickens. You want to read about the Artful Dodger?
I want to learn about the Artful Dodger. I don't know about reading it though.
Carrie said I read David Copperfield this month. That one has too many pages.
I feel like that's one that I need to read eventually, but I just cannot tackle it at this point in time.
I tried to Wikipedia and it was way over my head. So, Wuthering Heights. I would say I wish Millie Radcliffe Dix was a real story.
Yeah, no, I'd be down for that.
The Artful Dodger.
I did enjoy Wuthering Heights more than I enjoyed Great Expectations. Great Expectations was a slog for me personally, but I also was pretty young when I read it.
Same. I think I would read it from a different mental development level. That's a weird way of saying it. But
I would hope that you're more mentally developed than you were when you first read it.
that remains to be seen. I'm basically the same person. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe Dickens is. Maybe my brain can comprehend it better now. I still don't really want to read Charles Dickens, but there were a lot of characters in that book that like I was like, this person's really cool. Like the ones that really kind of stuck out that weren't necessarily like part of the whole Dickens world, like the White Witch and like I'm blanking on some of the other ones that seemed like they just kind of came out of left field. But,
yeah, the Narnia stuff,
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Ooh.
I do kind of want to read Sherlock Holmes. That's the thing.
I have a question for the audience. Why do you think the implied reader went to the New World?
Ooh.
Yeah,
I can see why all of the others went, but why the implied reader? It shocked Millie too. So
Because
like,
we read books to escape.
I'm just like, I just want to know what are some guesses or thoughts on that, because I have zero thoughts. I have no clue why. To be fair, I didn't think on it too hard, but yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, Maui that was neat, especially since it's in that region of the
Although
world.
I definitely did just picture the cartoon version.
I did too. I know. I was just like, I'm glad Maui was in it, but kind of sparingly because all I could hear was the
You're
rock.
welcome.
Yeah, and that.
Which is shame, all on us.
That's what happens when you have kids of that age.
We got some Dickens fans here in the chat, so maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to next month's poll is going to be all Charles Dickens.
It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
Whew.
We could summon Darth Vader.
Old.
In the book.
Yeah, I just struggle reading kind of classic literature. It's just me. It's like playing an old video game. Like there's a time and a place, and sometimes it's really hard to get through them.
Do Bobbies.
I know, I just read that and I was like, hey, sometimes it's just about what's easy. I get it. Yep.
I just got it. The concept of the implied reader is still like kind of weirdly mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, that one was
like being manifested. Like it's hard for me to comprehend, but I think it's really awesome.
But it also just opens the world so much. Like literally, this means Charlie could read any biography.
Mm-hmm.
Any. And he could read those, like a version of them out. Like, what? That's bonkers.
Like, hey, I'd like to meet William Shatner. Here's his book. Let me get William Shatner's version of William Shatner. Oh my God.
I would read.
Absorbed.
That's what I would do. I would read Tina Fey's Bossy Pants. It's on the shelf over there. I'd be like, hey,
Adam,
Tina, let's have a talk.
You only get Rocket Man version of William Shatner, though. That's the only version that you're able to get.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. I would read him so back into that book or whatever.
Rocket Man.
But yeah, biography, that's the thing that's what I feel like is missed potential here with Charlie's character is like, it's like, I think we mentioned this last time, but like the holodeck, like there's so many things you could do with it, but like Charlie's reading Charles Dickens books and like that's his thing. It's like there's so many. There's like
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense why he's obsessed with.
And we got a taste of it with Moriarty reading out like reading war books and action books and like summoning an army,
like aliens, right?
Yeah,
and like AK-47s. That part kind of took me for a loop, and I was like, okay.
Well, it's because everything Moriarty read out though was a shallow, like, whereas everything that Charlie would read, he gave depth to, and that required so much more of himself. He was putting himself into every reading, whereas Moriarty was like, I don't care. Here they come. Like they're all useless silhouettes of characters,
puppets,
basically.
Yeah.
Well, they're only there for like to be like meat shields, really.
Well,
I
just didn't understand what Moriarty's plan was. Like, what is the point of the New London if it's just going to be shells of characters?
Yeah, I know Moriarty speeched it out, but
I feel like I just missed it. If anybody can
but like why?
clue me in, because it really doesn't make sense to me at all.
I feel like, well, first off, I feel like they're insane. So
Okay,
it's
that's
quite
fair.
often hard to find the reasoning behind insanity. But I kind of just assumed it was like Moriarty felt incomplete, especially if the real reason what Conan Doyle, right?
Yes.
Created him was to
Mm.
be the antithesis of Holmes, then Moriarty's like, I'm here and my purpose is to be the arch nemesis of someone and there's no one here. So he was like, I have to basically create my own arch nemesis situation in order to be complete.
Really quick, Mariah, we need to know what y'all figured out
Oop.
What?
About vampires?
about vampires, the probability of vampires existing. Like, what was the conclusion?
Conclusion.
Wait, those were real college classes?
Monster biology.
Yeah, you can't just put something like this out there without giving us way more information.
And does garlic work?
Yeah.
I love garlic.
Moriarty.
She went
is a bad
silent. That's
complex.
more terrifying.
They got her.
I know.
Here we go. As far as I can recall, the only goal Moriarty ever had is to be the smartest person in the world and prove he's better than Sherlock Holmes or Charlie. It doesn't really feel like he had a plan if he succeeded. Because Charlie's wingman was Sherlock, Moriarty has to be the baddie. I just think Moriarty is like, my idea of Moriarty as being just like the greatest villain in the world is just so cool.
Also, Uriah Heep was able to manipulate Moriarty so easily. Because, like, Charlie was on Beth's radar, but barely, I think. Like, wasn't a problem until Uriah Heep started lying.
I guess we know the answer to that question, though. That whole like super fight is like literature nerds like in the bar late, and they're like, all right, who would win? Uriah Heep or Moriarty? H.G. Parry was like, I'll write it.
Yeah.
But did Moriarty know that Uriah Heep was a shapeshifter? Because you don't just expect that.
Probably
I
not.
didn't.
But Moriarty scoured Charlie's book, so possibly there's something about that in there. Wait. We got an answer.
Vampires scientifically can't exist. Just look at me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Are
You look
a
like a
vampire,
cat.
Mariah?
From your
so.
picture.
You got to keep this going when we're all dead and you're immortal.
So I always Google like discussions on the books that we read before we do our discussions, just because it helps sometimes. But I found a Ask Me Anything on Reddit where H.G. Parry did it for this book. And there was one thing that was really interesting. Someone asked, why was Rob the main character instead of Charlie? And she said, Rob got the microphone for 3 reasons. One is that I grew up on Sherlock Holmes, so to have the ordinary mortal narrating the exploits of the extraordinary, one felt totally natural. The other is that I wanted to make sure we never heard from Charlie directly, because part of the point of the story is that people are different depending on who interprets them. I also felt that it was Rob's story despite everything. It's about him learning to accept Charlie's world and to see him the way he is rather than the way Rob needs to see him. But I love that people still talk about the book as though Charlie is the main character. It would make Rob so mad. It really would.
So this is what the author said.
Yeah, this is straight from the author.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
The whole Sherlock Holmes and Watson thing, I didn't even put that together.
Yeah, but it makes so much sense now.
It does. Rob is Charlie's Watson.
Mm-hmm.
And Sherlock is Charlie's Sherlock.
So since you had the audiobook, I'm assuming you didn't see, there's an interview with her in the back of this.
Yeah, we have the physical book too, so I read through all of the extra content.
Oh, I
at
should
the
have read
end.
that interview.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
read that.
Oh, my favorite part is when she's talking about how she did so much backstory on the family, knowing it wasn't going to be in the novel, but that she needed them to be like more well-rounded and fleshed out so that she could make the relationship between them so real. And so she did all of this work, and I love, she says one of her favorite scene openings that she's ever written was from Charlie's point of view. And it started, today I was playing Monopoly with Sherlock Holmes and we were talking about something else.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like she did so much work that like doesn't even go in the book. Like, man.
We got snippets of Charlie's diary.
Yeah, we
should-
did.
We should read her into
Oh,
right here so we
also,
can talk
To
to
this
her.
book club.
H.G. Parry she's working on a new book that sounds really interesting. It sounds like it's like strongly influenced by Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I can't remember what the name of it was though. I think it's
I know
in
a
the back of the book.
Doctor Strange
It's right here.
and
A Declaration of the Rights of Magicians.
Yeah. So I am eagerly awaiting that because I think that sounds
I
really
love that.
cool.
yeah.
It's a duology. Or it will
Oh
be.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, all of
And
Charlie's chapters are excerpts from his journals, not a normal chapter.
And she answered y'all's question. Whoever asked, like, which character would you read out? She would want to hang out with Millie. That's what she said.
I would want to hang out with Millie too. She seems.
Yeah.
I liked Millie a lot, and I was kind of sad that Millie
What's not to like?
didn't have much to do at the end.
Bobby says both books are out.
Well,
Really?
that was quick because this
Cool.
book just came out in
2019,
2019.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Millie, I wish Millie had more to do at the ending. I wish she had a bigger role during the climax.
She's kind of showed up.
She just kind of showed up. I love the fact that she and Charlie are like the UN ambassadors basically to this fictional
Yeah, I
world.
love that too.
Like the politics of everything was both intriguing and kind of sad that like this magical stuff could happen and we're going to play politics with it like we always do. But like I was like, oh man, it was too real. But also I thought it was really cool that they had become sort of like these ambassadors too.
So
They
and
are
also,
both out. 2020
that made it-
2021.
That made it really interesting to me because it was so real. That is what would happen. And I think so
Yeah.
often when we read a fantasy novel, there's so little that's actually based in reality. So the separation is huge. But for this to be like, oh no, this happens in the real world and this is what would happen and everyone would freak out. Oh yes, that is very real.
Welcome.
Yeah.
welcome, Alex.
I
Tell us
do-
what you think about the
I
book.
do.
Are you
love the-
exhausted?
Yeah, I do love the end. I love that. I was completely expecting Charlie to read himself, the new the new world, and all of the characters out of the world. Like I was expecting us to just go back to normal. So the fact that like that didn't happen, and like not only that, but they were all exposed, was just really fascinating for me. I was not expecting it, and I really enjoyed it.
I'm with Philip that it does kind of feel X-Men-y at that point where it's, you know, I'm with you. Oh, there he is. The worst X-Man.
No.
Dun, 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 dun.
Well, how did it feel X-Men? What happened?
It's just the whole like
Mutants have been
mutant special
Oh.
power
unveiled
kind
to
of
the
thing,
world.
and now like how do you regulate that into the world? And
To me, that's way easier to wrap my brain around, though, versus these characters
Summoning.
came out of books, and this is not actually a person. This is a brain thought walking around. Like,
brain.
excuse me? What now? Yeah, no, I'd have a real hard time wrapping my mind around that.
That was a good one.
Yes.
that was good.
That's my answer.
James Bond.
You should have gotten that earlier.
I know. Does anyone else say that the lawyer main character was glad he wasn't there to make the situation worse with the cops set up to start figuring out what to do with these fictional characters made real?
I think he would have been fine helping, but he didn't want to be in the middle of it. Like he wanted. I assume he would have liked to help represent them, but not be the one represented.
Well, and he did offer, he's coming in to help now
Yeah.
that they've established things on their own terms. And I do think there is something important about that. Be like, having a lawyer is one thing, but you have to be able to, like, I don't know, like, how does one represent someone who's not a normal human? Like,
I was expecting Rob's lawyer abilities to play more of a part too.
Yeah.
Objection.
Mhm.
Yes.
Objection.
It's a video game reference.
Yep.
I got it.
Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney.
But yeah, what was I gonna say? Christy, what was I gonna say?
I don't know.
James Bond.
James Bond.
I want to go to New
I
Zealand,
wanna go
and
to
I
New
want to
Zealand.
see all of where this happened. But I also really want to do the Lord of the Rings tours, and I want to see Hobbiton,
Yes.
and I want to go to that lake place or the river where they crossed, and it just looks very.
I
blue
kept
and
forgetting
pretty.
that this took place in New Zealand. And then
Yeah.
every time I remembered, I tried to give them Australian accents.
Yeah.
Or New Zealand accents.
Yeah, I think Oxford stuck in my brain, so I did keep thinking they were, and it's Dickens.
And all the
so
Yeah, I thought they were in England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hard to. I kept having to get pulled back into New Zealand because it was so Dickensian and Victorian.
Natalie, your comment infers that Santa is not a real human, and he is. So this
Mhm.
does not.
Oh,
Oh, giggles. That's okay. I can't do a New Zealand accent.
New Zealand.
That's
Oh,
no, don't do that. No,
Oh,
that's Roy Kent.
that's
That is
Roy
not.
Yeah.
That is
That's all I got.
not. That's not
Roy.
New Zealand. This
Roy
cannot be a
Kent.
Roy Kent live stream. We have
Everybody sounds like Roy Kent.
we
in my
we
head.
only have a one F word
That is
rule.
that is a Ted Lasso reference if you have not seen that show yet.
So anyway, we're 3 minutes to the hour mark. Successful book. I think it was enjoyable. It's a lot of food for thought. A lot of literary within literary. It's a book about books.
Oh, my brain is tired. I will say
Um,
this book made my brain tired.
I would definitely recommend it to someone. Well, I think anyone could read it, and I can't remember who commented that it is actually clean enough to share with younger readers too.
definitely.
So yeah, I'm just glad that there was a lot of action in this one, and that it just felt like a big long movie.
Oh yeah.
And there was
Yeah,
a
that's-
Jabberwock.
There was a lot of things that like these kind of things that made my play with my mind. It's like, oh yeah, this would have been good. Ooh, this I would have loved to see this.
Yeah.
But like I think Talia, you said it was exhausted. I was exhausted too, but I think it was more of like an exhausted like you just had a really good workout kind of exhausted, and like you don't necessarily feel like, oh man, I'm just drained. It was just like, whew, that was good. but I'm
It took a
tired.
lot of effort for my brain to follow everything, for sure. Also, is it just me? Why have I always thought it was Jabberwocky?
I
not
also thought it was
Jabberwock.
Jabberwocky. I even read
Is
it as
there-
Jabberwocky.
Is there a reason? Is there a reason why my brain has always known it to be Jabberwocky?
I don't
Jabberwocky.
know. I knew it as Jabberwock because I actually
The poem is called Jabberwocky.
Oh, okay.
I
Thank you.
I sang an art song to the
That
poem in
helps me.
college that was really kind of trippy.
That helps.
So I know it pretty well.
So that was
Okay.
we got
Okay.
another book that we're gonna read next month.
We do. Are you ready? It is the classic, the best book that we're
Oh.
going to read this year. It's Lynn Carter's Kesrick, an adult fantasy.
That
Oh, okay. That's the real book. Don't listen to
The-
me.
Just gonna
the
hold it in
Bear
front of
and the
your face.
Nightingale is but if you want to, we want to do like cheesy adult fantasy book club, Lucas will be there.
If someone
We'll
wants
see.
to buy another copy, there's some on eBay for like $6. I will totally read it with you. This is book 1 of
Of one.
of Kesrick.
And if
Have you
need-
started it?
I have not started. I'm going to
Mm.
read it on the plane, I think, when I have my trip
And if
coming
you
up.
find yourself
I will.
mentally exhausted from this past month, this is what you just read, and this is what we're about to read. So
That's better.
it is quite a bit shorter.
And it is book 1 of how many?
It is a trilogy, although Christy's always really good about making sure it is meant to stand alone. It does
It
not end on a
can. It
yes.
can stand alone.
It can. and you're reading only up to chapter 17.
Yeah.
So look, so you have like 3 weeks to read. Like, that's a vacation, y'all.
Yeah, and don't we have 5 weeks in March?
Yeah.
I mean 5 Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So we get an
That's
extra week.
Plenty of
So much
time
time.
to read The Bear and the Nightingale. But it's exciting that this is a book that won by 1 vote. And even though the votes flipped after we called it, this one's still basically the winner.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so this is one of our closest polls we've ever had. So we got lots of people singing its praises, like Lisa, for example. It's so good. Cannot wait to talk about it with us. We can't wait either.
3
That'll be
weeks.
fun for March. Also, I just want to show you the culprit here. Look,
Yeah.
do you see him in there?
See his little face.
Oh god. Wow, that's impressive if it's permeating through that.
No, he moved.
He's in his little
Okay.
taco
Okay,
bed.
but he's buried so far in there, like he really is feeling shame. He knows.
No,
what he
he
did.
is also a burrower,
Look at
so he
that.
just loves to be.
Oh,
there.
That's so cute.
Oh, that's cute.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
Farts and burrows.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's hotboxing himself hard right now.
Nice. Carrie said the same thing.
Poor
Yeah.
Yeah, he's poor guy. But yeah, we're very excited to read The Bear and the Nightingale. Super
I gotta
excited
go
that we get to
download
read the Uriah Heep book with y'all. Yeah. Anything else? We're so glad we got to do 2 live discussions in a row. This
Yeah,
is
that was
amazing.
fun. Thank y'all for joining us last night. I think everyone had a good time. We had a good turnout. Had some swag giveaways, so we'll be getting that stuff out to y'all for the 2 winners that we had. Was Nicole and
Toast winners.
Stacy.
2 winners and Stacy. Yeah.
Toast.
Toast.
Giggle sis.
I don't want to play that game. And on that note, I'm going to go wash my hair.
And we will see y'all in
Oh, we've got time.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah.
So it's a
So
good thing we had 2 live discussions in a row because it's going to be a little while.
Yeah.
maybe we'll come up with something in between there.
Yeah.
We're gonna be busy.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be.
We'll
We
see.
won't.
Yeah,
I
no
won't
promises.
be. I have nothing to do. But
But
thank you
it's
so
fine.
much.
We'll see you in the lounge.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's always there.
But have a great night, and we look forward to talking about The Bear and the Nightingale with y'all in March. Bye.
Everybody, y'all be well.
Good night, everybody.